This is VOA Africa.
Good evening, I'm Esther Gidui. It's Tuesday, May 14th. This is Africa 54. Khartoum protests continue despite rising tensions and several deaths. Mosques in the U.S. and around the world increase their security as Ramadan observance continues. And a closer look at the healing power of music. Tensions are high in Sudan after 4 people were killed late Monday. Violence erupted after a political transition deal between the mainstream opposition and military rulers who said they would not allow the country to descend into chaos. Mia Womersley reports.
1 police officer and 3 protesters have been killed and many wounded in Sudan. Deadly clashes erupted in the capital city, Khartoum, late on Monday. The violence came just after the military council and opposition groups had agreed to a political transition deal in the northeast African country. Heavy gunfire was heard late into the evening. Violence flared after both sides claimed they'd worked out the next steps for the country's transition after President Omar al-Bashir was ousted last month. Protesters are pushing for a swift, civilian-led transition. They've kept up demonstrations since military officers removed Bashir, who's now been charged with incitement and involvement in the killing of protesters. The Transitional Military Council accused armed groups unhappy with progress towards a political deal of opening fire at protest sites, adding that they will not allow chaos. Protesters said counter-revolutionaries linked to the former regime incited Monday's violence. Earlier, paramilitary forces patrolled the streets using tear gas and gunshots to disrupt protests blocking roads. The Transitional Military Council and an alliance of protest and opposition groups were due to meet on Tuesday. On the agenda, the continuing 2 sticking points: the military-civilian balance of power and the length of the transition.
That was Mia Womersley of Reuters reporting. Now to Somalia, where angry high school students took to the streets of Mogadishu Tuesday to protest the postponement of their national exams following revelations they had been leaked and were being sold on social media. Somalia's Education Minister Abdullahi Goda Bare announced on national television Monday evening that the exams had been invalidated. Students began sitting for their exams this past weekend and were expected to complete them by May 21st. Most students expressed disappointment about the cancellation, saying they had studied hard and were ready to take their exams. Minister Bare says the exams have been rescheduled for May 27th through May 31st. As heavy fighting continues in Libya, the United Nations Refugee Agency said on Tuesday that no person should be returned to the North African country and that doing so could not be considered a rescue. The UN says within the last week, 65 migrants have drowned since the Tripoli clashes began, and 871 migrants have been picked up and returned to their detention centers that often have unacceptable living conditions. A group of aid agencies in Libya is calling for a UN resolution to support people trapped in fighting around Tripoli, where some 66,000 people have been forced out of their homes and at least 454 killed since April 5th. Forces loyal to Libya's beleaguered government are defending Tripoli against an offensive by the Libyan National Army led by Khalifa Haftar, who accuses the administration of being controlled by terrorists, a charge he denies. UNHCR spokesman Charlie Yaxley expressed concern about the ongoing insecurity in the country.
Airstrikes and artillery shelling have been carried out in Ain Zara, nearby to Tripoli International Airport, and in Tajura. Our teams report seeing thousands of civilians moving on a daily basis to safer locations in cities along the coast and towards the Nafusa Mountains. Humanitarian needs are increasing as food and medicines are limited and movement around the city is increasingly difficult.
Aid agencies say 3,000 migrants remained trapped in detention centers close to areas of fighting and that the use of weapons in populated areas continued unabated. U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed ambassadors and diplomats from Muslim-majority nations to the White House Monday for an iftar dinner marking the end of the day's fasting observed by Muslims during the holy month of Ramadan. President Trump highlighted Ramadan as a time of charity and bonding of families and communities. Trump also spoke of overcoming the bigotry and violence impacting people of different faiths in recent weeks.
Our hearts are filled with the grief for Muslims who were killed in their mosques in New Zealand, as well as the Christians, Jews, and other children of God who were slain in Sri Lanka, California, and Pittsburgh.
The president also called for prayer for a future of harmony and peace. During Trump's run for president during the 2016 campaign, he called for a complete ban on all Muslims entering the United States and has signed multiple executive orders restricting immigration from Muslim-majority countries. Each year, billions of Muslims worldwide participate in Ramadan, the holy month in Islam. However, due to recent violent attacks on places of worship, many mosques in the U.S. and around the world are increasing their security. While this has affected Muslims in America observing Ramadan, it has not ruined their zeal for observing their holy month in the U.S. Phil Deerking and Abdulaziz Toro report from the state of Maryland.
Each year, more than 1.6 billion Muslims around the world observe the holy month of Ramadan. During this month, Muslims fast, which means they do not eat or drink from sunrise to sunset. They break their fast at homes or mosques at iftars, the name of their evening meal during Ramadan. Sheikh Ahmed Ali is the imam for the Diyanet Islamic Center of America in Lanham, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. He spoke about the importance of Ramadan to the Muslim community.
Ramadan is the blessed month of Allah. As Muslims, we all fast during the month of Ramadan, and we all get together and make our iftar dinner all together with happiness.
In the United States, millions of Muslims also observe Ramadan. While many live or work in communities with non-Muslims, they still feel supported during this month. Haitham al-Khatib, originally from Palestine, attends Diyanet. He has been pleased by his American co-workers' welcoming attitude towards his Ramadan traditions.
I went to work this morning, which is our first day of fasting, the month of Ramadan, and non-Muslims were telling me Happy Ramadan, and they were asking about what Ramadan means. Not just Muslims are supporting Ramadan here in USA, also non-Muslims are supporting it and very interested and eager to learn more about Ramadan.
However, places of worship have been the target of violent acts of crime in recent months. In March, a man entered 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, where he shot and killed 51 people. In October 2018, a man shot and killed 11 people in a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In April, 1 woman died after being shot in a synagogue in San Diego, California. These events are still in the minds of people observing Ramadan, and have caused mosques to increase their security, especially during this month. Security guards and other measures are now common at many mosques.
Since that incident that happened in New Zealand, the Islamic centers and the mosques here in USA, and I believe all over the world, are taking security matters more seriously than before. So nowadays, if you go to Friday prayer and to an Islamic center, or even not just Friday, the daily prayers, you will find the presence of security there.
It's a very, very horrendous act. It's very bad because they kill a lot of our Muslim brothers, and we're not happy with what happened. So we are only praying that may Allah protect us from all this evil. The thing happened in the United States too. A lot of people are being killed. So we are praying government should do something about security of people.
Despite the concerns, Imam Sheikh Ahmed Ali's message to Muslims this Ramadan is still one of hope and encouragement.
On behalf of the Anet Center of America and my congregation, I would like to congratulate all the Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak. May Allah give us all the blessings, inshallah, and may Allah help us to benefit from Ramadan, inshallah.
Reporting, along with Abdulaziz Adili Toro in Washington, D.C., I'm Phil Deerking, VOA News.
4 years of brutal fighting in Yemen's civil war is taking the hardest toll on women and girls. Many women have become widowed and must support their families alone without the needed skills or education. In one remote desert village, the U.S. aid group International Rescue Committee has established a center for teaching skills and empowerment to vulnerable women and girls. Neha Wadekar reports.
Entikab Ali Abdulwasi, a mother of 5 girls, fled fighting in her home in Tayez to the remote village of Ras Amran. And as many Yemeni men have lost livelihoods, for some even their lives, women and girls are finding themselves in unfamiliar territory as the new breadwinners of the family. Abdulwasi's husband is safe, but has been too sick to work, so she and her daughters are learning new skills.
We are learning so that we can get out of poverty and help our families. Look at me, my husband is sick, so my daughters and I are providing for the house.
Abdulwasi and her daughters attend classes at the Al Baraka Center, founded by the New York-based International Rescue Committee to empower Yemen's women. The center's caseworkers say about 50 women and girls are trained daily or simply spend time there, a safe space close to home.
In this area, they are very traditional. Women do not go out because they don't want to mix with the men. If they go to other places to learn, like Sheikh, Aden, or Kurator, they have to ride on public transportation, but they have their husbands at home who forbid them from leaving the area.
For women like Abdulwasi, this is also a chance to break free from Yemen's conservative cultural norms and enter the workplace for the first time.
Before, women were forgotten about, but when these organizations came because of the war, we were able to advance ourselves and our skills.
Also provides counseling for gender-based issues and abuse that caseworkers say has shown a marked increase with the fighting in Yemen.
We see that because of the pressures that men now face, they've started to engage in domestic violence. Men take all their anger out on their wives. When the husband leaves home for long periods, the woman has to take care of everything. Then she struggles with mental illness and trauma because of the war. Eventually, she reaches a point where she cannot handle it anymore, and this would bring her to us.
The center is already shifting gender dynamics in the community. Abdulwasi says her husband supports her plan to one day open her own tailoring shop and to run it with her daughters. Neha Wadekar for VOA News, Ras Amran, Yemen.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, the magic of music, healing soul and body.
Arabic, it is the beat. The African beat that counts. The beat does all the translation. nations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African Beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
I am Sheka Sali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
Clara Frank, and here's what's trending. Volunteers from around the world flew to the remote Faroe Islands in the North Atlantic Ocean to spend 2 days mending tourist trails, among other projects, across the country. The closed for maintenance, open for volunteerism plan saw parts of the country closed to tourism as the voluntourists, who came from as far away as Australia, helped with a variety of tasks, including repairing walking trails. The volunteers paid for their own flights and were reimbursed for the 2 days of work with free food and accommodation. Next up, first it was a ban on single-use plastics. Now Tasmania's councils are turning their attention to the problem of organic waste, and they think they've found a solution by introducing an organic food and garden waste curbside collection service. The waste will be taken to a compost processing facility. When organic material is dumped into a landfill, it decomposes over a long period of time and produces methane. But when you compost it, it changes the output of gases and reduces the greenhouse gas emissions. And finally, a cemetery in the Australian state of Victoria will soon offer customers a chance to give something back to the environment when they pass away. Traralgon Cemetery in Gippsland is starting to offer eco-funerals, where loved ones can be buried in a simple shroud or wicker basket, rather than a traditional casket. But even without a coffin or tombstone, a natural burial won't save a lot of money. That's because cemeteries are still charging for preparing the body and for the plot of land. That's why some funeral directors are looking at other, more natural places to bury loved ones. And that's what's trending today.
U.S. President Donald Trump says U.S. tariffs on China bring billions of dollars into U.S. coffers. The president says China's retaliatory tariffs can have no effect on the U.S. economy. The escalation of the U.S.-China trade war sent stock markets tumbling on Monday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling more than 600 points. VOA's Ladza Hoke has more.
China has raised tariffs on more than 5,000 U.S. products, including meat, many types of vegetables, fruit juice, cooking oil, tea and coffee. U.S. farmers are concerned. President Trump on Monday promised they will be compensated from the tariffs imposed on Chinese goods in the United States.
We're going to take the highest year, the biggest purchase that China has ever made with our farmers, which is about $15 billion, and do something reciprocal to our farmers so our farmers can do well. They'll be planting, they'll be able to sell for less, and they'll make the same kind of money until such time as it's all straightened out. So our farmers will be very happy. Our manufacturers will be very happy, and our government is very happy because we're taking in tens of billions of dollars.
Trump said China has a lot more to lose in tax and tariff wars with the United States because it exports more. A Chinese analyst says the tariffs will hurt the United States more in the long run.
In the short term, China and the United States will share the cost of the tariffs. But after 3 to 6 months, it's the American retailers and local consumers who'll be paying the cost. Based on our calculations, the Chinese company's share of the total cost caused by the tariffs is only 10%, while the U.S. accounts for 90% or even more.
By some U.S. estimates, Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods could make Americans spend about $700 per year more on consumer goods.
The way he does his cost-benefit analysis in terms of tariffs and trade doesn't make economic sense at all, because having a trade deficit with China or having a trade deficit of $400 billion with China does not mean that the U.S. consumers are not benefiting.
Trump said the cost of tariffs can be avoided by producing goods at home or buying them from non-tariff countries. Financial markets reacted negatively to the tariff war, but some investors say they are not worried.
Obviously, the near term and even the medium term can be painful when we try to adjust our economy to a better outcome. And so I think when these things hit the headlines, we definitely see a lot of volatility, and then all the bears come out of the woodwork and start talking about all the things they were talking about in the fourth quarter.
Still, economists agree that a prolonged trade war is not good for anyone and call on the two sides to resolve the impasse as soon as possible. Trump said he will discuss trade with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the upcoming G7 summit. Meanwhile, he said the United States could impose a 25% tariff on an additional $325 billion worth of Chinese goods. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
It's time for our health segment, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudo with news about an unusual approach to treating patients, as well as a shortage of some medical experts,
That's right, Esther. Some shortages are happening. Researchers in Australia predict a shortage of specialists who can deliver chemotherapy as cancer rates rise worldwide. In new research published in the medical journal The Lancet Oncology, Australian researchers say the number of patients who should be getting chemotherapy is expected to rise from 9.8 million to 1.5 million by 2040. And two-thirds of those patients will be from low and middle-income countries. They used best practice guidelines, patient characteristics, and cancer stage data from the U.S. and Australia, then applied that data to the global estimates of adult and pediatric cancers from 2018 through 2014, and estimated that the number of oncologists needed to meet the demand for chemotherapy will rise from 65,000 in 2018 to 100,000 in 2040. They say unless something is done, there won't be enough specialists to deliver those life-saving treatments. We turn now to some alternative ways therapists are alleviating some patients' suffering. For a long time, people have used music to express emotions and connect with one another. Over the years, medical studies have proven that music has many health benefits too, such as facilitating regular breathing and lifting mood. Faiza El-Masri tells us more about music therapy as Faith Lapidus narrates our report.
Katie Hernandez has two sons. Her oldest, Lucas, is autistic.
He has a lot of sensory processing sensitivities. He's really sensitive to loud noises, bright lights, and he really likes to jump and swing and climb and anything active. Hey, 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 I got a question for you today.
Earlier this year, Lucas started one-on-one music therapy sessions to increase his attention span.
Welcome to the musical zoo. What's inside?
Music therapist Dixie Mazer visits him once a week.
Around and around and around. I brought in piano today because I've found that piano can be a great tool to work with anybody. It provides a lot of independence. 1, 2, 3, 4. I brought in drums because drums are a great way to engage with others and to use as like a redirection tool. I like to bring in a variety of instruments with a variety of textures. Miss Dixie's come up with a few songs to help him with social dialogue, so it helps him communicate with us a lot more when we can't figure out exactly what he needs.
Everybody's here and it's time to say hello.
Music therapy can also be used in a group setting.
A lot of my work is trying to slowly get them to positively engage with their fellow group members, as well as actively engage with me.
When we get our instruments, we know what to do.
Zoe Gleason-Voles says the instruments stimulate patients' senses and muscles.
We can work with atypical individuals helping with stress management and self-care, all the way up to individuals who are paraplegic and aren't able to move their limbs or have extreme cognitive delays.
Music therapist Kelsey Yingling is founder and owner of Neurosound Music Therapy, which operates in Northern Virginia.
The types of skills we want to see in a music therapist are strong musical skills, interpersonal skills, and ability to relate to our clients. So a lot of our therapists have a lot of energy, they're patient, and they really know how to adapt to situations and redirect any behaviors that might occur during a session.
Chrissy is here and it's time to say hello.
Hello, you want to strum?
Yeah.
Yingling says there are over 6,000 board-certified music therapists in the United States. She hopes more become certified so more patients can get the help they need.
Shake, shake, shake.
For writer Faiza El Masri in Chantilly, Virginia, Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
And that's today's health report. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter at Lenore Moudou. Esther, you see, music has an impact on your health.
Of course. I dance to it, I sing, I play music all the time. Well, once I'm out of the studio, that's what I'll be doing. What else does music do?
There are some studies actually that have supported the fact that music has an impact on health. But even when you look at our daily lives, right, sometimes you don't feel well and then you listen to a piece of music and it changes your mood immediately. That's an effect on your health if you look at the big picture. And also you use music to put yourself in certain kind of moods, whether you're happy, sad. There are some music that will kind of develop a certain way in your body, in your mood, right? So it is true that music definitely has an impact.
Well, maybe next time give us more music in the studio as well, so we can
dance.
We can dance. Bring some other people. All right, Lenore. Thank you so much. Be sure to watch Lenore Moudou's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, good night.